Hey everyone, it's Tim here for another update video. I hope you're doing well, having a good week, and I want to begin with a book recommendation. If you've been with us in Equipping Hour lately as we go through this series on ethnic justice in the Kingdom of God, you've heard me especially recommending a book by Shai Linne that's called The New Reformation. And as we've gone through these things that we're covering, you've heard me kind of talk about some reasons why I found that a helpful book dealing with these issues on ethnicity, and I would certainly say that's a good one. If you're going to read one, I would definitely recommend starting there. There's another book, though, I want to bring to your attention that I also found helpful if maybe you're interested in reading a little bit more, or one that has a slightly different focus. So there's this book that is called Confronting Injustice Without Compromising Truth by Thaddeus Williams. And it's a little thick and at times a little dense. But it's a really helpful book. Specifically, what he does is he takes this idea of social justice, and we know that's kind of a buzz phrase right now, but he says, look, Christians have always cared about justice in society. That shouldn't be controversial. Ultimately, Christians have always tried to play a role in seeing justice done. But the thing is that in recent years, there have been new models and new ways of trying to understand what that justice is that are really, he doesn't really use the terms of critical race theory or critical theory even beyond race. He deals with broader issues than race and ethnicity. But essentially that school of thinking, he does a really good job of comparing kind of these two, the more kind of classical and really what I would think is more of a biblical account for justice that's more rooted in God's character versus some of these newer forms of so-called justice, and just does a really good job of discerning what is deficient about the latter, while still just being very sensitive to just the human issues that are behind a lot of this, the experience and the pain that can sometimes drive some of these worries and concerns, and even these new views. He does a really good job of respecting the humanity of the people that he's arguing against, but yet showing that ultimately a more biblical account of justice is both true, consistent with God's character, and good for people. So he does a really good job of modeling, I think, a loving tone that's yet courageous and cares about striving for the truth. So highly recommend that if you wanted to do a little bit more reading. And again, it's broader than simply race and ethnicity, but it certainly touches on those issues. So moving on to kind of announcements about what's going on for us as a church. We have this Sunday, we have our equipping hour at 9 o'clock as we continue that series. At 10:30, we're having our corporate worship. We do have Library of Light, I believe, this Sunday, the 10th. So there'll be books available to check out about missions and biographies of figures in church history. So check that out. And then we have community groups at 5 p.m. because it's the second Sunday of the month. So be aware of those. Just find info in the newsletter about which groups are meeting, and more info about how to join one of those if you're not familiar with that. Also, as you know, we're heading toward Easter Resurrection Sunday and the whole kind of constellation of events around that next Sunday. So Easter's the 17th. We have our Good Friday on the 15th. On Wednesday the 13th, there's going to be an event where youth distribute flyers to neighbors. We do have flyers available, maybe even for you if you have neighbors that you've talked to or might talk to about coming in on Good Friday or on Easter Sunday. Those flyers would definitely be a good tool that you can use. But you could join our youth on Wednesday the 13th if you wanted to be a part of that as well. But Good Friday on the 15th, evening service we're having, and then we have our we're having a brunch potluck instead of equipping hour on Easter the 17th, then our corporate worship service, and then the Nevins are having their annual barbecue that afternoon. So all that info you'll find in communications, newsletter, and bulletin. So please be aware of that. So for that, I'll say goodbye and look forward to seeing you this Sunday, Lord willing. Have a good rest of the week. Bye-bye.